My great pleasure to welcome you to the third day of our program. My name is Edward Suryawijaya, and I'll be your Master of Ceremonies for today's session. Before we begin, I kindly remind all participants to fill out the attendance form provided in the chat section. Please make sure to complete it as soon as possible so we can record your participation properly. I also remind all of you to change your Zoom display name according to this format: SC_your name_your country. And if you can open your camera, don't forget to use the official virtual background during today's session. The virtual background can be downloaded from the link in the chat section. Let us express our gratitude for the opportunity to gather here and continue our journey of learning and collaboration. Now, it is my honor to introduce our distinguished speaker, Mr. Rafael Landaverde, PhD from Texas A&M University. Today, Mr. Landaverde, PhD, will share insight on digital innovation in agri-food system to support community service. I would also like to introduce our moderator for today's session, Mr. Fadli Naufal, Master of Science. Mr. Fadli Naufal is a fresh master graduate from Texas A&M University, and he'll guide us through the main lecture and discussion. Without further ado, I hand over the session to our moderator, Mr. Fadli Naufal. Time and screen are yours.
All right, thank you, Mr. Edward. Well, okay. Howdy, everyone. Before that, am I audible? Am I audible? Okay, nice. So let me repeat. Howdy, everyone. As we like to say at Texas A&M University, howdy isn't just a greeting. It's a spirit of hospitality and inclusiveness. And I'm proud to bring that Agri tradition here with me this morning. And Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning to all distinguished guests, participants, and fellow students. Welcome to day 2 of our summer course hosted by the Faculty of Animal and Agricultural Sciences, Universitas Diponegoro. My name is Fadli Naufal, and it's a great honor for me to serve as your moderator for today's session. As an Aggie myself, a proud graduate from Texas A&M University in atmospheric science, I feel incredibly excited to introduce today's speaker, who also represents the Aggie family and embodies the very values of leadership, excellence, and global impact that TAML instills in its students and faculty. So, today's speaker is someone who needs a little introduction in the world of agricultural leadership and innovation. Please allow me to introduce Dr. Rafael Landaverde, a faculty member at Texas A&M University, where he serves as an assistant professor in the Department of Agricultural Leadership, Education, and Communication. He also a faculty fellow at the Hazard Reduction and Recovery Center, College of Architecture. His impressive background includes a PhD in agricultural communication, education, and leadership from the Ohio State University, where he specialized in international and community development, as well as research methods and evaluation. Before that, he earned his master's degrees from Texas Tech University and EUDU Business School in Spain. His research has taken him across the globe, from rural Peru to sub-Saharan Africa, El Salvador, and now Texas, where he's deeply involved in bridging the gap between academic knowledge, technological innovation, and grassroots community engagement. He has published numerous peer-reviewed articles, secured research grants, and continues to mentor students across disciplines on topics ranging from climate adaptation to agricultural innovation and digital communication. Dr. Landaverde's presentation today is titled Utilizing and Communicating Digital Innovation in Agri-Food Systems to Support Community Service. This session is especially relevant as we navigate a world where digital innovation is not just a buzzword, but a crucial tool in creating resilient, inclusive, and sustainable food systems. But before we begin and invite Dr. Lavender to speak, just a few housekeeping notes for all participants. Please ensure your microphone is muted throughout the session unless you are invited to speak. And if you have any questions during the talk, feel free to write them in the Zoom chat box. We will address as many questions as possible during our Q&A session after the presentation. And we also encourage active participation, so don't hesitate to engage with the thoughtful questions. Now, without further ado, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome a fellow Aggie, an accomplished academic, and a global agricultural leader, Dr. Rafael Landaverdi. The virtual stage is yours, Dr. Landaverdi.
Thank you very much. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. I am going to share my screen. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay, okay. I think now it will be it. Yes. Can you see it now?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, perfect. Let me share this here. I just want to make sure you're looking at the right presentation, or you're looking at the full view, or
Nah.
no? Okay.
Not everyone. Yes.
Okay, let me reshare.
Yeah, take your time.
There you go. Can you see it a full screen
Perfect.
now?
Awesome.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Again, thank you very much for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to spend some time with all of you. I was very excited when I got the opportunity to share a little bit about the work that I do and a little bit about the research. So I prepared this presentation with the expectation that it will serve as a pathway for establishing, different conversations related to how digital innovation in agri-food systems can serve for community service, but also how we as professionals can utilize these innovations and communicate them with others. So the benefits are not only for those who work in academia, but for everybody who we want to benefit with the efforts that we're doing. So as our moderator said, my name is Rafael Landaverde, and I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Agricultural Leadership, Education, and Communication at Texas A&M. He is probably very familiar with the university, as he was one of our very distinguished alumni, and we're always very proud to see our students or graduates in this case get involved in this type of activities and this type of really respective events. So to tell you just a little bit about A&M, for those who are not super familiar with the university, we are one of the biggest schools in the nation. We have the third biggest enrollment of students. We have almost 80,000 students in campus between undergraduates and graduate students. We have more than 300 academic programs, and we have more than 500,000 graduates. A&M as a university, it's also the host of two of the main agencies that I work with and that I will be sharing a little bit more through my presentation. And those are Texas A&M AgriLife Extension and Texas A&M AgriLife Research. This is the two primary entities that lead not also the research about agriculture, but also the provision of technical assistance to all the residents of Texas and also to the dissemination of research. So the relevance of sharing these two particular agencies with you is how we utilize our innovation and share that innovation with our community members, and how we try to use the innovation and the research that A&M produces outside of the classrooms, but also to benefit the community members. As you can see, A&M is a very big institution, and I'm really proud of being part of it and have the opportunity not only to teach students in the classrooms, but to do some research and work with projects in different parts of the world. And of course, to support farmers in Texas. To tell you a little bit about myself, I didn't know I was going to get that wonderful introduction, so I put this slide. My research is primarily focused on agri-food systems. I try to understand how we produce, we consume, we purchase, we sell different foods as a system, not as an isolated process, but how the collectiveness of those activities build local food systems. We have systems at a different level. Your household can be a system. You as an individual can have a food system. And when we move from local, regional, country level, and to international food systems, we can see the world as a global food system that is interconnected from different transactions. I also work with some program evaluation, particularly looking at how innovative approaches will benefit agricultural systems, public engagement with agriculture, digital innovation, and how we exchange that knowledge through different formats. As our moderator was mentioning, I am a faculty fellow also for the Texas A&M Hazard Reduction and Recovery Center in the College of Architecture. I have worked primarily there on understanding how farmers can cope and adapt with natural hazards and particularly natural disasters. And I'm also part of the Science Communication Lab here in my department, where we do work on how we can communicate better the science that we produce to multiple audiences. But today, it's 8 a.m. or 8 something there. It's 8 p.m. here. So the presentation that I'm doing this morning for you, it's primarily focused on how we utilize those innovations and how we communicate these innovations outside of the academic world and how we make those innovations available and useful for the service of the communities. So today I will talk a little bit about agri-food systems and community service overall. I know you probably have already heard a little bit about these terms over the last couple sessions. I know this is the second day of the event and there are more sessions to come. Then I will talk to you a little bit about challenges and opportunities for innovation, what it entails, an innovation in the agricultural systems scenario. I particularly will work with the most recent project that I'm working that has to do with AI in agriculture and how we can use AI, or we are using AI currently to support community members and do some service at the community level. And I will close the presentation with 2 elements that are relevant when we look at an innovation from a professional standpoint. And it is communicating the innovation and evaluating that innovation so we can achieve the objectives that we're expecting to get out of that innovation. And I will close that presentation with some view for the future and some key points that you should take with you as you continue with your professional careers and your educational program over the next couple sessions. Before we go into that, I would like to ask you a quick question, and you can use your phones, or if you are not able to access through your phones and you want to do it through your computers, I will display a different screen in a little bit. But I want you to think about how are community service and innovation connected. And in this QR code is going to guide you to a website where you can type your answers, and that answers are going to be, I'm going to switch the screen and I'm going to share with you a different screen so you can see where the answers are coming through. So you feel free to type your answers and let me know, how do you think our innovation and community service connected? So we have one answer right now that says we can support others in their learning process, excuse me. Are you able to see where the answers will come out? If someone is having issues logging in through their QR code, you can also go to slido.com and type this number down here, and it will let you access the question. I'm going to give you a couple seconds. We can support others in their learning process. Innovation is used to optimize the community service. That's a very good answer. As people changing, innovation will also help to support them. Yes. Innovation helps maximize the activities of community services. That's also true, and it's a good answer. So we will continue the discussion. I wanted it to give you the opportunity to participate and have, innovation turns ideas into solutions, while community service brings those solutions to the people who need them. We have one person typing. Okay, I'm gonna try to go back to my presentation so we can continue. But this was an opportunity, and we will have the opportunity to continue to continue talking about the connection between innovation and, okay, let's see. I think I'm gonna have to share this. Okay. Probably not the most proficient with Zoom, so okay. Can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So, as you saw in the answers that you provided to me, innovation can streamline services. We can become more effective. Innovation is usually connected with those words: effectiveness, saving, efficiency, being more responsive. And I will show you a little bit about how those things are connected between innovation in agricultural systems and how we can use those innovations for the benefits of the service. So, I want you to look at these instructions, and then I will show you the QR code again. But think about a recent innovation, big or small, that you have incorporated into your daily life or routines. It could be a new app, a smart device, a digital service, or even a creative new habit. Are you using an app to track the calories that you eat? Are you using an app to measure your exercise? Or is it just a new way to do something? What innovation can come to your mind that you have recently started using? And I want you to think about these three questions. How has these innovations changed or improved your life or daily activities? What motivated you to use that innovation? And what is, in your opinion, the benefits or the innovation, how that innovation can be improved or become better to serve you? I'm going to give you a couple seconds to look into these questions. And when you're done with that, I will ask you to use this QR code and tell me just the name of the innovation that you selected. And while you do that, I am going to share with you the responses. We have 2 responses right now. So I want you to be able to see what your colleagues are saying. So some people say AI and others say ChatGPT, which will be pretty much the same. ChatGPT is one of the tools of AI. So what is an innovation that you have used? And the QR code, you can use the one that is in the screen, or again, you can go to slido.com and use the number to tell me, are you doing a new routine of exercises? Do you have a new phone? Do you have a new computer? Do you have a new headphone sets? Do you are eating a new product that you have never eaten before? Solar power sources. Yes, those are definitely becoming more popular and more available. They are becoming also cheaper. So that means we are more able to afford adding those to our daily life and daily activities. ChatGPT for real? Ha ha ha. Yeah, I'm sure that a lot of you. Notion, I don't know what that is. So we have 2 participants typing, so I'll give you a couple seconds and see if we get a different response. 3 participants now. A money tracker app. That's a good one. I'm assuming it probably is for saving. Creating your own contents and blog. That's a different practice. I'm assuming. Strava. So I'm assuming that's an app. So as you can see, there are different types of innovations that you're using. So before I go into the presentation, I'm just going to stay here so we can do this a little bit more effective. We have 1 participant typing, so I will wait a little bit and see if this 2 participants. While they finish typing there, tell me what are the benefits that came out of that particular innovation. So someone say, I saved time. What benefits came out of integrating those innovations into your life? And as you look at this third question, I'm gonna see if someone is still working in the previous one. So I'm gonna jump back and forth from the 2 presentations. Digital marketing, we got, I think drones. And in this one, someone say make money, or someone say easier life. We have people typing Internet of Things in agribusiness on farm. Those are another there. Let's see here if we get something different. We have 4 participants typing in this one. It's making everything easier. Provide better solutions, effectiveness, and efficiency in all sectors. GPT more than Google, I think. So basically is make easier anytime, save time. So as you can see, the majority of you are associating making everything overall easier. So that's the idea behind innovation. The problem is that it's not always ending in those outcomes, or it's not ending in that outcome for everybody. And that's what we try to avoid. We try to create innovations that are more responsive towards everyone. So this is the question that we already did, but I wanted it to look at some news outcomes that are relevant for some of you. And you can see that innovation drives the development of our countries and drives the development, particularly of the agricultural or agri-food systems. We urge people like youth and academics to boost research and development. Research and development are driven by innovation. We push for innovation in the livestock, and you see another news outcome there that says that the Ministry of Agriculture will start exploring AI innovation for farming efficiency. So innovation is basically everywhere, in everything, from activities to products to technology. The problem is that we always think that innovation has to be a new app or a new device. If you change a practice for something more effective, that's innovation. So innovation will be everywhere and in everything we do. But what is digital innovation in the context of agri-food systems? Well, digital innovation, or that transformation that we want to see, it's pretty much a comprehensive change in strategies in how we do business, in management models, or in the operations, in which we incorporate digital technologies. It encompasses not only the change on those practices, but how those practices become more digital. So that means we have data, we can input the data. We are trying pretty much with this digital innovation that from the moment we're producing the food up to the moment where we're consuming that food, everything becomes more efficient. It reduces the prices, it reduces the cost, and it becomes easier for us to access that food. So that's the concept of digital innovation, particularly in food systems. But how are agri-food systems? And in the image that you see, that will be a very simplified way to tell you all the steps that the food system has. How is the food system connected with community service? Well, there are multiple ways how our food system or your local food system is providing community services. First, we provide the service of accessing food and ensuring food security. It is the responsibility of the food system or the farmers and producers of the food system to ensure that we're serving communities by providing and producing food, but also by, I'm trying to check the chat. Someone is telling me that my presentation screen is not changing. Can you see it changing or you see the same screen?
Yeah, you are showing slido.com.
Okay. I thought I had already changed. Let me. Thank you for letting me know. Can you see the presentation now?
Yes.
Okay. So you did not see this slide before.
Not yet.
Okay, sounds good. So this was the slide where I was mentioning the news that were relevant for all of you. So when I was saying that all the innovation is present everywhere, these are some news that are relevant for the context of where you work or the countries where you're from. The pressure for innovation in food system is really high from the government, academic institutions. You see some of those news, and it's definitely those are pretty recent. Those have been released mostly within the last week or so. And you see that research and development is requested from youth academics to boost the agricultural sector. We also are pushing for more innovation in different agricultural or particular individual sectors like livestock. And you see that even AI, it's already taking shape and taking part in those countries. So this is the definition of digital innovation. And I already kind of explained this definition. So you see it as a transformation process when we're looking at the digitalization of those processes, integrating more data, but also making the process overall more effective. This is the image that will represent what a food system might look like and how the different steps of the food system will look like in a very simplified shape, from the growth of food, the processing of the food, the distribution, how we purchase that food, how we cook that food, and finally, all that has to do with waste and management of that waste. Pretty much, I will take it from the perspective that you understand and know about the food system. So you are familiar with the concept, you're familiar with the different steps, but how is it connected with community service? Well, as I was saying before, community service and food systems are directly connected through multiple activities. One of those activities is the access of food and the ensuring of the food security status of all the community members. Then we go to education and awareness and how we can better educate community members on how to have a responsible relationship towards the food system. Primarily at the last stage of the food system, which is the surplus of waste. A lot of people waste a lot of food, And we can do a great service to the community by educating and increasing the awareness of how important it is to do an adequate management of the food and the waste of the production. We also want to strengthen local food systems by investing in the institutions, investing in the individuals, and bringing those individuals closer to their food systems. The emergency response component, we constantly have to respond to different occurrences like natural disasters or particular political moments where people might need more support from the food system that they rely on. And we, as professionals interested in addressing that community service, can do a big work in this area. After that, it comes the social and technological innovation, and that responsibility comes as we take part in that innovation process. We are all invited not only to think about this as other people's responsibilities. We as individuals can innovate from the practices that we use at home to all the elements that we can contribute by reading, investigating, and becoming more effective in how we do it. Please open this, and I'm going to show this at the end, but I want you to think from your perspective, because I want you to record the answers, but we're not going to look at the answers right now, on what are for you the priorities where we should innovate in local agri-food systems. What are some needs that you might see? And I want to see if at the end you will reconsider the answers that you have put on this first stage. So I'm going to give you a couple seconds for you to take the QR code, and then we will look at the answers at the end. So when we think about innovation, it is not as easy as just thinking about doing something new. There are different challenges for us to innovate in agri-food systems. The first big challenge is environmental health. And into these, we have the loss of resources that we're experiencing: water, soil, biodiversity, but also one of the most popular topics that you probably will hear throughout your career and throughout the news and different areas is climate change. It is present in different stages. It looks completely different at different places, and it might also be affecting people completely differently depending on where they are located and how they might be interacting with the environment. We have a lot of resistance in some cultures about the idea of climate change, and that is another element that we have to address. The misconceptions, the conspiracy theories that exist behind, and how we can educate people better to come closer to the idea that the climate is changing, and we have to be able not only to adapt, but to mitigate. The last report from the interdisciplinary climate change group here in the United States told us that even though for a long time they have been recommending that we should work in mitigation and adaptation, which mitigation means reducing the emissions and adaptation means changing practices pretty much. Mitigation is not really a strategy that will get us to where we want to be. Now adaptation has become more closest reality. So we still should work in mitigation, but the aggressiveness of the change in the climate are not really something we can now manage anymore in the mitigation scope. The regulatory and ethical elements also become a big concerns for people. Regulations change. The ethical elements of this innovation should also be considered. We should make sure that everybody should have access to these innovations, that the benefits are equal for everybody, and that if some people will be benefited and some others will be affected, that innovation might not be something we want to invest on that. So make sure that when you're engaging in innovation, you understand the context where you're performing this innovation, and it is actually responsive to ethical and regulatory elements. The funding and infrastructure, of course, is a problem, particularly for the developing world. We look countries like Germany or China or the United States where the funding is easily available for innovation. But what happens in the countries where this funding is not really available? We have to find interdisciplinary or cross-border collaborations that can bring us closer to have a more universal development of these innovations. Finally, the data privacy and ownership, it's a concern for everybody with these innovations. We do not know who owns the data that is generated out of these new technologies that are coming out. So it is extremely relevant that we should be able to establish that farmers will be always the owners of the data that will produce out of the film. And finally, the supply chain issues. We continue to face high levels of food waste. We continue to have inefficient post-harvest management practices. And those are areas where we as community members can serve the community by investing in innovation. But what are some opportunities that we have? Well, contrasting to the other slide, we want to see more environmentally responsive systems. We want to be more responsive towards the changes in the environment. We want to achieve the dream goal of sustainability, which means we should take advantage of the resources that we have available without compromising future generations to take those same benefits. We have to improve technical assistance, and here is one of the strongest pieces where community service comes. All the technical assistance that we offer to farmers or other community members, it's part of that service that we're doing. And making them more effective makes us as a system stronger. So all the technical assistance that we can offer to others who might not have the same preparation of the same academic level will be instrumental in making the local food system better. We have to find new innovative funding models. As I was saying before, the discrepancy between the developed world and the middle and low income countries is extremely big. So we have to find ways on how that funding is distributed more equally so that the innovation can advance at the same level. And finally, we have to work on innovating in how to reduce food waste. There are several studies around the world that have demonstrated that all the people that are suffering from malnutrition and hunger around the world can be fed if better practices to reduce post-harvest in the countries where the production goes beyond the needs are managed better. So innovation can lead us to resolve one of the main issues that we face in food system, which is food insecurity and food waste. What are the benefits at the system level and for community members when food systems innovation is integrated in community service? Well, we achieve economic development. And with economic development comes opportunities, better education, better preparation for kids, and the society becomes stronger in all the dimensions that we want to see that. But we also look at valuing health. The contributions that the system can do through nutrition education, more nutritious food, better practices of health are going to end up in a stronger and healthier society. We have planetary well-being, which sometimes we think is not part of that community service, but if we disconnect, the health of the world from our individual health, then we're doing a mismatch of priorities. We should invest as much as we invest on our individual health in the health of the environment where we live. And finally, we will have more inclusive societies. Innovation will bring us closer to equal development, and we can have those societies where everybody feels included and belongs to that chain of benefits that are developed. In innovation in an agricultural system has several components from where I'm assuming most of you will be taking part of as you join more of the professional world. So research and education is that big component, and this is what we're doing today. We're doing more research. I'm trying to help by sharing the results of my research with all of you. We bridge the institutions, so academia and society, government, and research institutions. And then we also have business and enterprise who also are part of this innovation. The participation of all of those actors within the relationships that we have is what is going to create an enabling environment that where innovations are going to be cultivated. But how those innovations happen, it's in a continuous process. We have an idea, or we go through an idea discovery. We think about what might be an innovation that we might be needing right now. And we think about that innovation and we discover that idea that might lead us to find something that is worthy of doing research on. Someone one day thought that genetically modified food was a great idea, and the starting to modify genetically those food items was going to lead us to be more sustainable and more responsible towards and more efficient in producing the food that we need. After that research, we always have to do a business assessment. Nobody wants to invest in an innovation that will create more loss than benefits. Then it becomes the development process, and that involves, again, several expertises. Nobody can do it by themselves. We need support. We need the community members to come and be part of that for them to do the testing, validation, and verification. Once we have verified, validate, and test a particular innovation, that's when we can deliver that innovation to the community members. Before we get to the point when we're sure that that innovation is working, we should not deploy that innovation because we don't know if we will create more harm than benefit in those members. So as I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, I will talk to you about my most recent research project that has to do with artificial intelligence in agricultural systems. I will walk through some of the efforts of using this innovation for community service that we're doing here in Texas. And I will welcome any questions or anything at the end or in the chat. When you feel like you have a question, feel free to type it. And if I don't see it, I will address the question at the end. But as you can see on the answers that we got in the questions, AI is pretty much in everything we do. You might not know, but when you're typing in your phone and your phone is telling you what word to type next, that's AI. When you are searching in Google and now you have a first window now that is telling you really fast answers, that's AI. ChatGPT, like we saw, now you have chatbots in Snapchat, Facebook, and every single app has their own version of what a chatbot is. But what's a chatbot itself? Well, a chatbot is an AI application that uses language models to replicate the interaction that will happen between a conversation that is happening between two people, but it's replacing one of those people with a machine or with a computer that, based on questions that you ask, will process the language and will be able to give you an answer. But in agriculture, AI goes beyond chatbots, and there are so many other tools. There is drones, sensors, there are different apps that can be used for different steps of the like food systems. So I am giving you some examples of where AI in this slide of where AI can take place into the food system. Predictive and preventive data, we can use better models to predict the weather, to predict food loss, to predict productivity and prevent losses. We can make the food distribution smarter by reducing times, being more effective in moving food from one place to the other. We can support local production by informing farmers, opening business channels. We can have responsive nutrition guidance targeted to a particular age or a particular food needs or particular places, depending on the food that's available. We can be more engaging with the community members and deliver those services more effectively, but we can also make the community members feel more included by integrating AI or some of the AI tools. Finally, AI might be able to help us on the policy and planning support, being more responsive, collect data more effectively, be present in more places. So knowing all these benefits, we might say, wow, this should be something that everybody should use. but it's not that easy. We still don't know a lot of things about AI. And that's why research and testing and verification becomes extremely important. The news mostly portrayed AI as something that is super positive, and they will say that it will lead us to a better future, is the future for this, or is the future to feed the people, but we still have questions that need to be answered. What's happening around the world in terms of innovation? Well, Tortoise is an organization that works collecting data around the world regarding AI. And as you can see, the United States and China are the two leading countries in terms of AI investment. There is an AI score that brings three elements together: research, investment, and infrastructure. And based on that score, they have an AI adoption index. It's what you're seeing in those particular in that particular graphic. As you can see, the United States leads this, and is expected. It's a country where, like, innovation, there is a lot of funding from the government, from the industry. And then you can find different countries that are being placed in a scale from 1 to a 0 in that particular scale. Where do you think, in a 0 to 100, Indonesia will be placed? What score do you think it will be? Think about this. The score is captured by three individual measures: research, investment, and infrastructure. Where do you think, or how big do you think the Indonesian score will be? And do you want to type it in the chat? If you find the flag, you will probably make a pretty close guess. But if you don't, and I know I have students from a different, or participants, excuse me, from different places. So if you want, maybe try to see if your country is already in the graphic. Some countries are still not there because they keep working on collecting this data. So in honor of your time, I'll show you. So Indonesia has an 8.61 score. So it has made it to the data sets that they have collected, but still not at the level of investment that other countries. But we have an investment. We are investing in AI, and we're making those efforts towards increasing research and development and infrastructure there. So what was the first thing that my research team and I did in terms of AI? We developed a conceptual framework that is guiding the way we develop and we distribute AI innovations. What are the disadvantages when we think about AI in food systems and also for community service? Well, AI moves so fast. You go to bed tonight, and something that was in a particular shape or format tonight, tomorrow will be completely different, and you don't know how to use it because it has changed a lot. So what we did is we developed a model or a conceptual framework based on all the experiences we have had with other innovation. We propose 6 different items that should be considered when someone is trying to utilize AI innovations across community members or to implement different elements of AI within the food system. Initially, we need to think about what will make people wanting to adopt the particular innovation, and what are the elements of the individual and the environment that will make people feeling appeal or rejecting the particular innovation. Once you have understood, who are your people or who's the target population, you then will think about how are you going to disseminate that innovation? What are the best strategies to make people come closer to that innovation? Once you have identified the right channels, the right format to address those people, you have to make sure, and I have mentioned a little bit about this, that the innovation is going to have positive impacts on those individuals. Because if in the other side you go and those innovations have negative impacts, you will create a behavior, or you will cultivate a behavior against innovation for the future, because people will come from bad experiences of adopting these innovations. we have to build capacity within the systems to be able to deploy these innovations. It doesn't happen from one day to the other. We have to make sure that people are aware of what the innovations are and how the innovations work. To get to that capacity building, we have to invest in human resources, and we have to make sure that events like this one keep happening because we want to make sure that people keep learning about these innovations. And then we have to work in two elements that are connected, but are still in the process of becoming part of the culture in terms of innovation. First is collaboration between research and extension. Researchers are excellent at generating knowledge in universities and research institutions, even the government, but we are not as good as deploying and taking that research and translate it for people to understand. So we have to work stronger on that. And finally, we have to build a culture of evaluation. We go, we meet with people, we tell them, this is a great tool, use it, but we never come back and see and evaluate whether that tool is working or not. So this particular framework is currently under review for a journal article publication, but if someone is interested in reading this, I'll be happy to share a copy of the detailed process of developing and where we have learned about these elements. But AI has achieved something that no other innovation had achieved in the past, and is reducing the gap between users and no users. There is more people using than people not using AI. So if you see, this map is telling you what percentage of people are using AI in each country. Indonesia has 32% of its population currently using ChatGPT, which is the most common and more known application of AI. So it's getting there. More people get it every single day. There is a very cool study that I read the other day that says that at least 1 million people becomes AI user every week. So you can see that there is going to be very short a moment where a lot of people will be using AI. So thinking about this, we decided to start using it to benefit members of our agricultural community. And we developed a particular chatbots that are targeted to particular groups of individuals to serve them and serve the community in a way that they can access information. What you have in your screen is an example of a chatbot that we developed here at A&M. This chatbot was particularly developed for people who works in the equine industry. So they do horse reproduction, horse breeding, horse shelters, people who go and adopt horses that are being discharged from farms. And what we wanted it to do was providing them with a more reliable source of information, so then the education and awareness part that we can do as community service is stronger, faster, and more effective. What are the challenges? Well, the first challenge is that you need to make sure that the people is willing to use it. And we have gone through a very strong process of develop this innovation, validating this information, and collecting data about this information. And I will share a little bit with you about those preliminary results that we have from some of the users of this innovation. But what's the main thing here? When we conceptualize this innovation, we learn a lot about chatbots and what ChatGPT have done and what has been good and what has been bad. And then we move into making it specific for that population that we wanted it to achieve. That's what makes an innovation effective. Understanding what are the needs and what are the priorities of those that you want to bring closer and that you want to make users of your innovation. If you do not understand your population, your innovation probably won't succeed and it will fail. And all the investment you have done will be worthless or won't be really useful in the future. So what are our results about this innovation so far? Well, participants were very open to integrate this chatbot perform in the agricultural sector, but they are worried that we might look at these chatbots as a replacement of the human technical assistant or support that they receive from the extension services or from experts. So they are still looking at these chatbots as something that they can help, that they can receive help from, but that should not replace other ways of support that they receive. We created this chatbot with the idea that when the chatbot does not know an answer, it should say, I don't know. And it should not lie or come up with fake answers or provide questions that are answers that are just empty answers with no scientific content. But the participants didn't like that. They want to be guided to where they can find that answer, even if it's a phone number to an expert or an extension agent that they can call. Finally, most of the answers that the chatbot provided to them, the participants found it trustworthy, competent, and attentive to their needs. So that means, I don't know if that's me. And so in all of this process, as you can see, it was very important for us to make sure that the innovation is responsive and it is trustworthy and people trust the innovation, because that's what the service that we want to provide to the community should look like. So if you do not invest throughout the process in making that process of trusting and investing in the innovation as a whole, the success rate will be very low. So, but how do we made it, and how do we communicate these innovations or promote these innovations with the hope of community service in food systems? I put intentionally this image because I always think about this process when my grandma asked me to help her with her phone. That's how you should look at this process. Most of our grandparents and our parents did not grow up having a cell phone. Cell phones have become an innovation of our time. So multiple times you will get your grandparents or your parents to tell you, hey, how can I do this on my phone? Or how can I change this setting on my phone? Or how? That's how we should see the innovation process in food systems. You are experts. You are people who are being trained. You're receiving education. You're getting prepared. For you, innovation is natural and it comes from your spirits of self-discovery. For many of those people, they are like your grandparents. They don't know how to use it. And so we have to make that process way more simple. But what is the discrepancy that we see? Think in language or think in communication about like a bicycle. Some people will have a very basic bicycle. Some people will have a very pro bicycle. Some people will have an electric bicycle. Some people will have like the regular bicycle. We all have a language. It's just that our levels of knowledge and how we power that bicycle is different. So what is this, or what I'm trying to tell you here is we all have, or we all can communicate. But when we communicate innovation, some of us might be on an electric bicycle and we will understand it really fast. Some others might still need the bicycle with the little wheels and we have to help them get there. So how do we do that? People connect better with successful stories than with statistics. Academics and scientists love statistics and we love to come and say 55% of people say this, 25% of people are telling us this. But people who are not connect better with a successful story. So take advantage of those stories of success to convince others and inspire others to join you in the innovation. We should simplify the language, and that's a challenge. We need to make scientific knowledge understandable for all of that. So that's a little bit of the work that we do here in the Science Communication Lab. We tried as much as we can to make people come closer to understanding scientific language. We use local and trusted platforms. Not everybody trusts Facebook. Not everybody trusts the social media. Some people trust their extension agent or a community leader or a neighbor. And that's where we come with the next recommendation, which is empower gatekeepers. Many of our parents or many of our neighbors have become leaders in the community. People respect them. They have been pioneers on adopting innovations. We should take advantage of those who are perceived as leaders in the community or entities of respect, because those are going to be the ones that can help us facilitate communicating these innovations in the food system. We should promote feedback and co-creation. When we have this great idea, we should be able to get feedback from those who we want to benefit. We should be able to get feedback from those that we're providing the service, and we should let them feel part by giving us options on how to improve the innovation. We should communicate interactively. Most researchers or scientists think that they are experts, and yes, they have been prepared, they have received a lot of training, but people in the communities have a lot of empirical knowledge that is also helpful. So we should be able to listen to them and integrate that knowledge and build into that knowledge with the scientific knowledge that we have. Finally, and for me, the most important element is to align our innovation with the community goals and needs. If the people do not see an innovation as something that will help them solve a need, or it is aligned to where they want to go in terms of goals, they will never feel well, or they will never welcome that particular innovation. Then once we have communicated an innovation, we have implemented that innovation, it is extremely important that we constantly evaluate whether that innovation remains to be relevant and should continue to be there. We should involve community members in that process of evaluation. They should be actors of that evaluation and not just data sources. We should have metrics. We should know what we're looking at and what that innovation should achieve and evaluate towards that metrics. The participatory part becomes extremely relevant here. Farmers should be able, beneficiaries should be able to tell you what do they receive and how they receive it from the innovation. To the last thing that we want to achieve is that sustainability, and make it something that 20 farmers are using and was super effective, make it something that it can be taken at a bigger level and become a scalability approach where like it goes from a very slow scale to a bigger scale. Where do we go from here to the future? We want to achieve sustainability. We want to have food systems that are sustainable, responsive, and that everybody can benefit from those. But how do we get there? The only way we will get there is when communities take the lead on those processes and we bring them closer to the scientists and researchers who are working in those innovations. Even if we are providing a service that is focused on helping people, if we do not bring the community closer to the process and make them part, the sustainability of that process will fail. Something that we have experienced constantly when we implement a new innovation is the innovation will work really well while the implementation team is there. Once they depart and they are gone, the innovation will fail. And that failure happens because we did not prepare the people in the community to continue without the implementation team. We have to do an ethical and responsive innovation to ensure effective community service. If it's not ethical, if it's not responsive to the characteristics of those people, it won't be effective in delivering the service. We have to look at, agricultural technology as a social infrastructure. It's not only equipment and technologies, it's people, it's investing in people, it's making service more responsive, it's making service more inclusive. And I have talked a little bit about this last two across the presentation. We have to have interdisciplinary and cross-border collaboration between countries, between expertises, making investments between companies and governments, and between all the members that are interested not only in the food system, but in the well-being of the community. And lastly, we have to do our effective and responsive outreach and communication. We should be able to reach everybody, your grandparents, your parents, people that are younger than us, youth, kids who are interested in starting to take part into the community work. So before I close, I'm going to open the microphone to all of you for questions, for any discussion, for any experience that you would like to share with us. So I will welcome any question for me about the presentation, about the university, whatever you would like to know. I'm happy to answer those questions before I share my next slide. and feel free to open your microphone and ask the question.
So yeah, I want to remind for all participants, we are now in the Q&A section. So if anyone would like to ask a question directly, you may raise your hand or post your questions in the chat, and I'll be happy to read it out loud.
I will take that I did such a good explanation if nobody have a question. But feel free to ask anything that you would like to know. If you want me to repeat anything, feel free to ask any question.
Okay, let me ask a question.
Sure.
Okay. Well, as someone working in atmospheric science, I'm interested in how our field, especially in meteorological monitoring and early warnings, can collaborate with your field of digital innovation in our food system. So here's the thing. Given the digital divide in some rural Indonesian regions, how can we design low-tech or mobile-based solutions that translate complex atmospheric data, like a forecast or rainfall variability, into simple advice for farmers?
So the first thing that I will say is you will have to recognize where, like, what kind of farmers are you working with, because not all farmers in all sectors will be interested in the same data that you can provide them. The second thing is find the right farmers to deliver that. If it's to deliver that data, if it's through an app or it's a report, usually, a graphic or a visual will be way more effective than a lot of text. People tend to don't want to read anymore, or if they have distrust on science, or you have to work with towards that, it will be extremely important that you are really to the point of what is the most important thing. I mean, in a report of what you can produce, there will be like 20 different parameters that might be relevant. But what is the most relevant one, or the one that is at immediate need? That's something that you will have to identify. You might be able to provide them with 12 different parameters, but realistically, there is only one of them where farmers can have an action on it. And so that's the one you should communicate. So that's a filter that you have to apply. Because if you go and disclose the 12 of them, and you know that they won't be able to address all of them, what you're cultivating rather than a defective feeling, it's a frustration feeling, because you're already telling them that you're giving them information over things that they won't be able to work on. Rather than if you address one and it's the one that they can work on, that might enhance an empowerment feeling that will become or will translate into action behaviors.
Well, but we also have another challenge. And
Okay.
Indonesia has a diverse ethnic and local cultures. How can we ensure that a participatory evaluation of agricultural innovation is culturally sensitive and genuinely reflective of community needs and voices?
Can you repeat the question for me?
So yeah, well, we know that Indonesia has diverse cultures and locally, and how can we ensure that a participatory evaluation of agricultural innovation you mentioned is culturally sensitive and genuinely reflective of a community needs and voices?
Yes. So first of all, you have to understand, everybody who wants to do a participatory approach have to understand that if you go, the owners of this process are your participants. That will be the first acknowledgement that we have to do. We will have to work a lot into deconstructing some of those ideas that we have been trained with, because as researchers or as professionals, we'll train to with this idea that you're the expert, you should go and teach them. And that's the first thing that we have to change. First, it will be extremely important if we identify the right way to to gather data from them. To be culturally responsive, you will have to give them the opportunity to probably speak with you, or you will have to be able to speak their language if they're a different language. If this is a place where women are not able to participate, you might not be the best person to go and collect the data. Those are strategies that you have to learn about their culture and their interactions. I can give you an example. So I worked with an indigenous community, not here, but in Honduras, and most of them did not how to write or like read or write. So what happens there? If you have prepared yourself to do a survey, that won't be useful to collect data. So you have to do an interview, or a narrative interview, or a focus group, or even a storytelling photo voice, maybe giving them a camera and tell them take a picture of these things and tell me what the picture is telling you. So the methodologies that you will use to gather that data and make them participate, it's extremely relevant. And that will make it more responsive towards their culture and their identities. And then the values part, you have to be able to connect with that part. If you do not understand what their priorities are, they will never find the process respectful. If you're interested in something but they don't find that thing a priority, then I don't think they will find your approach as being really culturally relevant and responsive to them.
All right, thank you. Thank you for the answer. Well, we have 2 questions in the chat box. Let me read. The
And
first question is
we had a hand up too. I don't know if you saw it.
yeah, in the chat box. Did you see?
There was something who raised their hand, like the virtual hand, but I don't know.
Oh yeah, I saw it, but it's gone.
Okay, you can read the questions from the chat if you want.
Yeah. Okay. First question is from Anissa Faradiba. What if the community doesn't open about the innovation because tradition that they already had? So does the innovation still necessary? I think that's a similar question that I asked you, right?
Yeah, and in these cases were like extremely important to identify gatekeepers and community leaders. That will be the most effective strategy. If you go to a place and you find that nobody wants to take that innovation, you will have to break into that group. First of all, if you have to be completely convinced that that innovation will bring more benefits than what they are having. Because if you are just close-minded, that you think that your innovation is better than what they are doing, the one that has a problem is you. So you have to have gone through the process of validating and testing that innovation before you take it there. Because if that community is already, we have a very popular quote in the United States that said, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Like if it's working as it is and your innovation is not better, you should not bring it. But if you have the evidence and the research and the testing and validation that the innovation is better and they are close, the first thing is finding a way to combine your innovation with their local knowledge. And I talked a little bit about that before. There is empirical knowledge that we can bring together. But more importantly is find gatekeeper, people that they trust, because this is a trusting issue. They do not trust you. They do not trust the innovation. And it won't be until someone they really trust use it and demonstrate the benefits that might be the most effective way to demonstrate and bring the innovation to them.
Yeah, so I could say that it requires the harmony between knowledge and the understanding of the people,
Yes.
right? Okay, so next question from Salma. She asks, how can we innovate to reduce food waste in the supply chain? Because this issue plays a crucial role in achieving food security and sustainability.
There are several innovations around food waste that we can look at it, and that will be very context dependent. For example, the Feed the Future Innovation Lab, which unfortunately is not really working anymore, but we can still learn from the lessons that they left us. They develop a lot of low-cost technologies for food harvesting, from using local resources to be able to produce food, keep food for a longer time, to ways to prepare food differently, to storage units that didn't need electricity. There's a lot of ways to do that. That's very focus on the developing world when there might be places where there is no electricity or people do not have a fridge to put the food. Those low-cost technologies still remain relevant there. What happens in the other side, where there is the technologies, but the people don't have the behaviors? That's where social and behavioral training becomes more relevant. We have to be able to be more effective in communicating the message of people. So, for example, I saw this very great initiative at a school the other day where like they have this big screen in front of the kids when they are leaving the dining room where it says how many pounds of food they have wasted every day. And they tell the kids that the goal is to reduce every week at least 5 pounds of food waste. So the technology is here, the practices are not. So what we have to change in that case is the behaviors. But when we look at countries like other countries where there is not the technology, we still have to innovate in terms of those low resource technologies. And the other thing is training people on how to understand the changes in the weather and the best practices to storage their food and how they can become more responsive towards those changes.
All right. So I think we better move on to the to those who raise hand.
Okay.
So, yeah. Let's begin with Mr. Arihandako, please.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Uh, I want to say sorry in the first place because I a little bit late to join your presentation today, so maybe there's some misinformation. So I want to ask two questions right now. In the first, can you share your story or your experience on how to approach farmers who struggle to adapt to technology due to different age, maybe? Because in Indonesia, it's quite difficult to give an input on a process that they have been doing for decades, like that.
Mhm.
And the second question is, and are any innovation requirements that are applied to farming community? Thank you.
So regarding your first question, it's a very interesting because the same issue that you have in Indonesia, you will have it in the United States. I am originally from a country named El Salvador, which is in Latin America, and the same issue is age. Farmers, elder generations are definitely more resistant towards the innovation. So the first thing that we usually recommend is to approaching the younger farmers within a community because that will be the first step to get closer to those elder farmers. The second step will also be similar to what I mentioned before. It's building trust with them. If you're a very young extension agent or a very strong researcher, you might not be the most ideal person to go and approach them. But if there is someone who they believe on or they have relied in terms of extension services or they might be going there, you can use that person as a gatekeeper to disclose the innovation. The last thing we do is we disclose the innovation by steps. If it's a very complex innovation, we do not take everything at once. We go and we prepare them first with getting them understanding the innovation. For example, with the chatbots, we begin the process by telling them what's AI and that it is not anything that comes because one of the things is, the people's identity is connected with this process. And I'll give you an example, and I apologize because I'm a little bit I'll use more in the context of the United States, but religion is very intrinsic into what people believe. So there was a lot of misconceptions about AI being something that it was not from the religion or not connected with the values of the religion that people believes here. And so we had to break those misconceptions and explain people that it's just a technology, it doesn't have anything to do with that, and blah, blah, blah. And then once we have done that groundwork in terms of breaking those misconceptions, we bring the technology. The problem is that we bring everything at once. So we want to do everything at once. And it's a time-consuming process that will take us to build that relationship. And the trust relationship is the first thing that we need to do. And the last thing will be that when you're ready to deploy the technology, you make sure that they are trained and prepared to use it when you're gone, because you're an expert, but they won't be when you're gone. And if they fail when you're gone, then the problem will be that they will never be willing to open that possibility for another innovation. In terms of the requirements, I don't think there is a particular requirement that you need to have, but you need to understand whether the community is prepared for that innovation. And I'll give you a very basic example. If you have a community that doesn't have reliable access to internet, then, for example, AI is not a technology that they are prepared for it. So you have to see if they have the infrastructure, social, human, and economic. Drones are very expensive, for example, and we all love to talk about drones and how beautiful they are and how wonderful they are. But if the farmers cannot buy it, excuse me, it's not an innovation they are ready for, because you're just placing them with the idea of something that they will never have access to. So the requirements are depending on what you're bringing to them. You have to do that work. I don't know if I have my moderator here, but I will ask, and excuse me if I don't pronounce your name correctly, Miss Siri Alia, if you want to ask me your question. And Ari, thank you for your question.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, for the insightful question. So I have some question. Like I had the opportunity to present a digital innovation local farming community in my community, and I found that people were generally open and willing to adopt it that AI. However, sustaining that innovation over time remains a major challenge. But like the AI not consistently using in that farming community. So, in your view, what are the key barriers faced by small-scale farmers in accessing and consistently using digital technology? And what practical steps can be taken to ensure the long-term sustainability of digital innovation in the agri-food sector? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for your question, and definitely, the sustainability in the long term. And I will use your question to answer a question that I just saw in the chat at the same time, because it says that how do we create digital solution to the farmers who lack the resources to have that solution? So the sustainability is connected with the resources. And it is not only the financial resources. Of course, that's important. And that will come to my answer to Ari. If you do not see the community having the resources to go through an effective engagement with that technology, you should not bring back technology. They are not prepared yet. Then you go to the human resource. If your farmers are not equipped to use the technology when you're gone, you should not leave them yet. You have to make sure. You were talking about AI. So let's think about a cell phone. That will be the device where mostly farmers will access AI through. If your farmer is not proficient on using a phone for the basic needs, they are still not prepared for AI. So you have to build that human capacity. And that's the first step. Make them sure that they are able to use it. What's the next step? Well, you are going to have outcomes out of that AI interaction. There's going to be an answer, a graphic, a text. What happens if your producers are not able to understand that information? They will be putting information in an empty vessel because, oh yeah, there is this wonderful answer, but it's in a language that the farmers do not understand. And that's one of the issues with AI. AI is not very sensitive to the cultural differences or the geographical differences. So as an expert, you will have to help people translate that scientific knowledge into a more local knowledge before it becomes something sustainable. So unfortunately, at this point, I don't see AI becoming something that farmers can sustainably use by themselves. It will have to be improve the technology so then it becomes something that acknowledge the differences in terms of the context and how some people might have a more technical language than other. So For other technologies that are more common or have been studied more, you can build that human capacity that will ensure a little bit more of the long-term sustainability. And then something that has become an issue here in the United States is that you need to help people understand how to solve issues, because that technology is going to fail or is going to get broken, and they need to find a way to fix it or find resources to fix it. So that's a thing that you will have to make sure that they at least know where to find within their networks, if that makes sense.
All right, I see that some questions have been answered, and also I see a lot of enthusiasm from the participants. Let's move on to the question from chat box from Shania Luccheo, Philippines. I see this question is really interesting. She asks, in the Philippines, political involvement plays a significant role in the progress of agricultural innovation. Often, political leaders have control over these developments, but at times they give them lower priority. So she's interested to hear your thoughts on this dynamic.
Yeah, so that's again, that's from the Philippines, and that's a phenomenon that you will see very often in multiple countries. Governments are not giving food innovation the priority that it deserves. We're still struggle with that. It is something that you will see even in the United States. There's a lot of funding in the United States that come from private industry who's putting more priority or prioritizing investment in agriculture. For me, agriculture should be at the top list of the priorities, along public health, education, public health, and food. Why agriculture? Because you can have the best educational system in your country, but if your people are not correctly fed, those kids are not going to perform correctly at school. If those people don't have enough protein, don't have enough carbs, don't have enough vitamins, so we, as agricultural sector, we provide people with one of the most essential services. It is nutrition and food. And so my comment into that part will be, when we live in places and we have as citizens the opportunity to elect the people who represent us in the governments. So I will say that my best advice is always to think consciously when we exercise that decision. And we should find leaders that are really prioritizing those needs, because the investment should come from governments. And it should be an investment that is really well focused, because I think there is a lot of hype into AI right now. And I'm not saying that AI should not be something we should be looking at, because it is coming to everybody. But a lot of our communities are still not prepared. So we should not be looking into AI when we have other issues that for a long time haven't been really solved. So it definitely is something we need to look at it, but there are other issues that are still remaining unsolved, and those should be also priorities before we get into other innovations. Okay, so I see that. Go ahead.
One more question from Miss Widi, please. If you have any questions, just turn on your microphone, please.
Thank you for the opportunity. I would like to ask a question. Indonesia is an archipelagic country, and signal strength is one of the main issues. What is the solution for digitalization agriculture in our country? Thank you, sir.
Can you repeat the question for me?
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Widi. I'm from West Java in Indonesia.
Okay.
Thank you for this opportunity. I would like to ask a question. Indonesia is an archipelagic country, and signal one of the main issues. What is the solution for the digitalization agriculture in our country? Thank you.
So digital agriculture or digitalization can be positive and negative, and there is positive things about it, but there's also negative things about it. And so I think the main approach that I would recommend when people are trying to digitalize agriculture or implementing these technologies, it will be to look at the end goal of that community. Throughout the different chats and different conversations and questions, I have seen that most of you, same than me, come from places where people are still not really prepared to embrace these innovations. So we need to look at other type of innovations, changing practices that are simpler, or changing different products that are still simpler than AI or a drone or an app, because a lot of these people are still working with local wisdom and they're still not prepared for that digitalization. What is the main challenge with that is that digitalization is becoming the reality for everybody and we cannot stay behind. So I think, the digitalization process in every country should follow a responsive and progressive process. New generations will adopt it easier, older generations will be harder. So we have to work at the pace where people feel comfortable and still receive the benefits that are associated with that technology. The main challenge with digitalization will be that if you deploy an innovation with someone who's not prepared, it's going to be a more negative or impactful in a negative way effect that what you will benefit that people. And in the long term, that's going to have more negative outcomes, not only in the production side, but also in the individual behavioral side, because it creates the behavior of resistance towards innovation. And even though in the future you might have something that will be good for them, they won't be able to, or they won't be willing to use it.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you.
All right, if I'm not mistaken, you said that you also have another presentation to show.
No, another slide, just the last slide.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
Yes.
So I
yes.
think we can move on to the last slide.
Okay. So the last slide of my presentation is just my contact information. So if there is any other question, I will be happy to answer the question, but I wanted to leave you with my 2 emails. If there is anything that you need from me, if you're interested about any of the topics that I talked today and you need any resource, I'm always happy to connect with other researchers, with students or professionals from other places. I want to, take the opportunity before I leave to thank you for giving me the chance to share a little bit about my work. I was very excited to the opportunity to present to all of you, and I want to thank Agus for inviting me. He was in one of my classes, and that's how I have gotten to know and interact with him. And he's been it's been great to have him in my class, and I appreciate the opportunity that I had tonight, well, this morning, for all of you to share a little bit about this. So you have my emails. Feel free to email me, and if you need like any research, or if you're interested about doing some projects over there and you need any kind of guidance, I'll be happy to connect. So if there is any other question, if there is anything else, I'm happy to answer those. And if not, I'm really thankful for the opportunity and for the time that you put it into organizing this event.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Raphael. I think there is no any questions left. So, okay, let me close this session. As we come to the end of this insightful session, I'd like to extend a heartfelt thanks to Dr. Raphael for sharing his expertise, and to all of you for your enthusiasm and engagements this morning. And Dr. Lavender's work reminds us that innovation in agriculture isn't just about technology. It's about people. It's about empowering communities with knowledge, building resilience, and fostering collaboration across sectors and continents. And I hope today's session sparks new ideas and encourages you to think about how your own field, whether in science, policy, or communication can contribute to agri-food systems of tomorrow. And let me close with a pantun, a traditional four-line poem from Indonesia. Okay, going to the field, the crops are bright, rain and sun in a perfect tune, with Dr. Rafael sharing his insight, innovation and service blossom in Indonesia soon. Okay, until we meet again in the next session, thank you all. Stay curious, stay connected, and gigam. And howdy from one Aggie to all of you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Sure. Thank
Rafael.
you,
Thank you,
and
sir.
Mr. Fadli.
Okay, thank you to all participants for your thoughtful question and active engagement. On behalf of the committee, we extend our deepest appreciation to Dr. Rafael Landavert for sharing his expertise, and to Mr. Fadli Nova for moderating today's session. Let's give them both a warm round of applause. After we learned an insightful session from Dr. Landavert, we kindly invite everyone to turn on their cameras for a group photo with Dr. Rafael Landavert and Mr. Fadli to commemorate today's event. Don't forget to give your brightest smile and your best pose. The photo session will be held in three slides, so that's basically a three screenshot. For the first slide, count on me. 3, 2, 1. And then the second slide. 3, 2, 1. And the last slide. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you very much. Before we end our session today, we also have another fun session that will be hosted by my friend Yanki and Diba. Yanki and Diba, bring it on.
All right, thank you, Edward, for the change. Okay, Hyungi, are you there?
Oh yeah, I'm here, Jiba.
Okay.
I'm there too.
Hi, Mr. Subhan.
Hi, Mr. Subhan, long time no see.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, of course.
I'm
Okay.
good too. Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Now, by the way, welcome to today's ice-breaking session in third day of the 7 summer course program. I am Yangi, and now I'm with my friends.
Yeah, thank you, Hangi. I'm Diba.
Okay, so now we're going to play a super cool game called Wake Crowd. In this game, we'll be answering questions about Indonesia. So get ready to show off your knowledge about Indonesia.
Okay, so we will share the link of the game. So everyone, let's just join the link that will be shared by the committee in the chat section. Okay, wait, still loading. Okay, so it's like a mini quiz that is all about Indonesian understanding. That yeah, it's actually not that hard, but I think also for Indonesian it's not that easy, right? Yeah.
Yes, that's true. Well, the gameplay is okay. Still loading here, guys.
Okay, wait for the link. Okay. Okay, so we have like 30 participants here that I hope that everyone will join this game because we can see like how much that everyone here is know about Indonesia. Okay. Is there anyone from abroad or ever been to Indonesia before? Probably I want to ask like some of you like from abroad. Probably our neighbor from Malaysia. Okay. Let me see. Who's from Malaysia here? Here there is not yet. Okay, thank you, Andrew. Yeah, I never going to Nigeria before too. Okay, we see that there is, yeah, hopefully soon. Yeah, I'll welcome you if you come here. Just let me know. Okay, okay, okay. The link is already shared on the comment section. You guys can join the link.
Okay. When you are in, there's a you can choose a mini game you'd like to play and answer the question about Indonesia correctly. Okay, maybe we'll give you a minute to join.
Yeah, we give you a minute to join. Okay, after you join, you can put your nickname. You can use your real name or your nickname or whatever you want to call you yourself. And you can you can choose your character. You can customize them as what you like.
Yes, and also the character is cute and so fun, ya, Jiba.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, guys, let's join the game.
Okay, how many people already joined? Still 9. Okay, we wait for the rest to join, okay? Okay.
Maybe we can join the game too, Jiba.
Oh, yeah. Let's join the game.
Okay, but
But I think I'm not gonna win it.
yes,
I will let the others to win. Okay. Okay. I'll wait to the 9:45 to start, okay? It's 1 minute more. So for those who not joined yet, please let's just join now. You can also customize your own character as cute as you want. Okay, it's already 9:45. I think the game could be just start. Okay, let's start the game. While we see who already in the first place here. Okay, we already have Nafis in the first place, who will take the place.
keep playing, guys, and show off your knowledge about Indonesia.
Okay, now we got Aurelito in the first place already. Have like 7,000 points.
Come on, guys.
Oh, it's already there's someone who finished it, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
I think everyone gets the answer right, Candy.
Yes. I think that's know about Indonesia and Dubai.
Looks like everyone is so competitive right now. The score is
Don't giving up, guys.
yeah, don't give it up, don't give it up.
There's still 3 player in start. It's okay, Sarah.
It's okay, Sarah, if you haven't visited Indonesia. Hope soon, yeah. Hope soon you can come here. Oh, oh, I think almost of the participant already on the screen. Okay, so we already have the winner here. Wait, who's the winner, Yanni?
Yes, Rusia. Are they from Indonesia too?
Yeah, we don't know. Let's greet the winner after this. Oh, okay.
Oh, who is? Wow.
We have Aurelino as the winner of this game today. Whoa, oh, not everyone answered the question correctly ya ternyata. Okay, Aurelino.
Aurelino, Gama Mulia, and
Oh yeah, the first place is Aurelino, and the second place is Gama Mulia, and the third place is Mutia. I think all of them are Indonesian.
yes, I think so.
Now I want to kind of like call Aurelino. Is he available to talk right now?
Yeah.
Are you there? Oh, hello. Hello
Hello.
there.
Hello. Hello.
Oh,
How are
wow.
you?
I'm
Congrats,
fine.
Aurelino.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, yes,
Congratulations.
you're from Indonesian, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Where are you from? Which part of Indonesia are you?
I'm from Semarang.
Oh,
Oh,
Semarang.
you're just
Yes.
near Aurelino.
Yeah. I'm Barlog.
We're in the same place, yeah.
Yes.
How do you think about the games?
I think
Easy
it's
or
um I think it's quite fun because it's like different approach from our usual quiz, and
yeah?
yeah, it's it's it is presented with so much interfaces, which is quite fun. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Do you answer all the question correctly, or you
Yeah.
answer one of them wrong, or?
Actually, to be honest, there's in the final question, I still remember, I got it wrong, but thankfully I got this booster, so it's like my lifesaver.
So that's what make you win, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
How
okay.
how the mini games are they fun?
So much fun. I think I have a great
Okay.
time doing this.
Okay, thank you so much,
Okay.
Thank you
Aurelino,
so much.
and congratulations to win this game. Okay. And the second place we had Gama Mulia. Are Gama available to talk?
Yes, I'm available.
Oh, okay. Hello, Gama. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Where are you from, Gama?
I'm from Indonesia, Surabaya City.
Oh, Surabaya. Nice. We're neighbor. Yeah. Okay. Probably I want to ask you about today's whole session. What do you think? Do you have any kind of like impression that you want to share to us?
Yes, this course is very amazing. We meet a lot of people from another country, including Malaysia, Nigeria, and the lecturer also very cool.
Yeah. Uh, where do you know that about this summer course?
Someone sent the submission link on WhatsApp group, and I accidentally saw that, so I try to register, and it's so much fun.
Okay, thank you so much. It's still the third day. I hope you will be with us until the last day in 1 month ahead. Okay. Thank you so
I
much,
hope so. Thank
Gama.
you.
I hope you have like a new great experience of their taste. Okay.
Okay, Diba, I think that's over. And that's
Mhm.
the end of our quiz and game. Let's give a big applause to everyone, especially our top three players.
Yay. Thank you so much, everyone who joined the game.
Mhm. Well, hopefully you had a blast and learned something new about Indonesia.